program is brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?
Good evening. This is First Issues, proudly brought to you by the First National Bank of Botswana. I'm Panatongwenya. Thank you so much for joining us in the program. It is common knowledge that Botswana's economy heavily relies on diamonds, which were discovered by De Beers team led by Dr. Gavin Lamont in 1966. According to various De Beers reports, diamond revenues account for almost 80% of Botswana's export revenue, about 45% of government revenue, and 33% of gross domestic product. The big question is, what will the scenario we've just described look like and that of the global diamond industry at the end of this year? The coronavirus, which at the time of recording this segment has put half of the world in a lockdown, had forced the closure of jewelry shops and thrashing the share prices of diamond mining companies. An international diamond industry correspondent, Tim Treadgold, in his article in April 2020, reported that Alarosa, Russia's diamond champion's share price, had fallen by 30%. Some smaller diamond mines, such as London-listed Petra Diamonds, were reported to have seen that shares plunge by 75% since the outbreak in January this year. De Beers is reported to have been forced to close its retail outlets in Paris, London, Canada, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and in the USA to protect staff and customers from the coronavirus. While here at home, the Diamond Trading Center sorting tables and floors were empty as diamond sales have been suspended indefinitely, while the mining at the Botswana mines has also come to a halt. What will the year 2020 in the diamond industry look like in general for major producers such as Botswana as a result of COVID-19? Tonight, we have a conversation with a world-respected commentator in the diamond industry and author of the book From Mine to Mistress, Chaim Even Zohar. He joined us from Israel during the lockdown period.
2019 was not a good year for the diamond industry. But the first 2 months of this year were good. January, February were good months. And if there would have been no coronavirus, things would have looked good for this year. Coronavirus have put everything upside down. I must say at the outset that I have rather high respect for your President Masisi, who has made very, very sensible decisions, and your situation is rather great. Not just good, your situation is great. You also realize that the problem comes from people coming back from the outside. So close your border, stay at home. You're doing the right thing. About diamonds, your president may have to make some other decisions. And you have, in a way, a situation like Saudi Arabia and oil. Either you reduce output, or in this case, maybe reduce the De Beers sales, the diamond trading company sales, or you will have to face a free fall in prices. That's what nobody wants. But in the pipeline, you are not alone. The jewelry market, on the end, will be extremely problematic for quite a while. When everybody becomes poor, when trillions of dollars has just gone in the wind, just disappeared, when millions of people are unemployed, and I'm not talking about Botswana, I'm talking about the United States and Europe and other places, the net disposable or the excess disposable income that people have to spend, extra money they have in their wallet to spend on jewelry, will go down dramatically. Demand will be problematic. We have seen a slide in prices already, but there is no demand. And that's the problem, there's no demand. Now let's go back to the pipeline. In India, a few 100,000 workers have gone home to go back to agriculture, basically, left factories because there's no work, and also to stay healthy. There's a big question whether they will come back and how many will come back. The former joint managing director of De Beers, Stuart Brown, said this week in a Financial Times article, if there are no cutters, we cannot sell rough. And he's not only that he's absolutely right, but it also shows he is not alone, and you are not alone in the decision-making process. At the moment, India cuts and polish manufactures, God knows, around 95%, by volume at least, of the diamond business. If there's a problem in India, that is a problem for the entire pipeline. Now, in India, you have very intelligent leaders, and the government is very much involved. I know for 100% sure that there is considerable discussion in India to demand from its government to stop rough imports for at least 3 months after the coronavirus crisis is over. And why do they want that? You have to mitigate your pipeline problems. At the moment in India, they have around $1.5 billion of rough. They may have some $4 or $5 billion in polished, and there's no demand. It will take a while to get it away. And then you get the problem, it's also being financed. Banks have already lost confidence. When you reduce the purchases of rough, just like in Saudi Arabia when they reduce the pumping of oil, you achieve a few things. You avoid a free fall of prices. You will also have a time and a few months to clear your inventory. You may sell and you reduce, of course, your banking debt. So you will look better for the banks. You may even get a better or more sympathy than the banks have for you now. In India, the banks have no sympathies at the moment for the industry. But if they do the right thing, reduce debts, reduce inventories, that will certainly improve the situation. And it will stabilize polish prices. Rough prices are not even so crucial. It's the polish prices. Because we have seen a slide in polish prices. And that comes, of course, among other things, because there is too much in the pipeline. So we have to clean up the pipeline.
When running a business means
Where did I put that receipt?
we can help you with instant accounting, free software that does your bookkeeping for you. When running a business means
Wait, what do you mean the container hasn't arrived?
we help protect your business from risk with Mohwebi Insurance. And when it means
How do we pay our staff that don't have bank accounts?
we help you make multiple payments directly to people's phones with e-wallet bulk send. At FNB, we're constantly innovating to help business owners at every stage of their journey.
Welcome back to First Issues as we continue with our conversation with world-renowned diamond commentator Chaim Ibn Zohar. Chaim, what options are available for Botswana and our partners De Beers?
Botswana has to help in cleaning up the pipeline. And the Beers, probably under pressure of your government and other producers, may decide that it cannot afford not to sell. It will probably be forced to sell at huge discounts to some big diamond people if they're willing to buy. But then you get hoarding and other things. It's going to be complicated. It's going to be complicated. But the long-term prospects of the diamond industry is an entirely different matter. But you're now concerned about the immediate future. No, the immediate future for a producing country is very much problematic. I do think, or I expect, that for political reasons it will be hard to close the mines. On the other hand, if you close mines, you can also potentially save their lives if the crisis isn't over. So it's not a disaster to do so. But it depends on your situation.
Chaim, do you see a silver lining for the diamond industry anytime soon beyond COVID-19?
Yes, I do. I'm always optimistic, and I do. But it's going to be an entirely different business. When I mentioned before that raw supply should be curtailed, you do run the risk, of course, that some factories which have already people in place don't have rough stocks, may increase their purchasing of synthetic diamonds. And that is problematic. That is certainly very much problematic. Synthetic diamonds, of course, are much cheaper to buy. And you also avoid having to buy rough diamonds when you don't know exactly when will the price stabilize. The lack of stability in prices is not good for nobody. The margins in manufacturing are very small. This is one country in the world that knows that the margins are small. It's the Botswana manufacturing sector. You earn very little. The added value is there for the country, for the workers, but profits are very remote. You won't buy rough if you're not sure that you also make money on it. So that gives an advantage to the synthetics. But leave the synthetics aside for a second. At the end of the crisis, we have a new world. And we should get used to the marketing in a new world. There will be much more marketing on internet. There will be much more activities from home. There will be fewer trade shows and other things, and because of Zoom and even things like WhatsApp, like we're doing now, we can certainly communicate also in other ways. So the whole the distances disappear because people don't have to travel so much. That's problematic for the travel industry in Botswana maybe, or for airlines, but it doesn't matter, it saves money. But there will be different things. I think that China will become the new United States. It will take a while before demand in the United States will pick up. But you have to prepare. I expect there will be a tremendous, call it Corona baby boom, in about 9 months. If you keep the whole population of the world at home, don't think that they are only watching TV if they have TV or movies. I mean, there are other ways to spend the time, and the product of that will come out in about 9 months, I think. A baby boom, we should utilize. We should think creatively about new marketing initiatives. I could think about big campaigns. If she gave you this beautiful baby, doesn't she deserve a diamond? Or things in that area. Get a new market. Also, there will probably be a lot of weddings because now in this period, all the things are being postponed. You don't have large weddings in a lot of places where you cannot have more than 10 or 20 or 50 people together. Of course, that is a demand that was there anyway, but it's being postponed and it will come out all together in a much shorter period, I think. So yes, there is certainly a lot of good things coming up. A lot will depend on how responsible the bears and the producers will manage the market. If I make a footnote, I would almost think that there also may be a situation in which the producers, Alrosa, De Beers and others, may have to consider also granting credit to their customers. I like the idea about credit by De Beers, because then they are forced to check the customers. They are forced to make sure that their customers are really financially healthy, something that they have not really enforced in recent years. And I would like them to go back to one of the strongest points, that they also always said that their clients are the strongest financially and otherwise the strongest players in the market. That was good. That was good for the peers. That was good for Botswana. It was good for the business because you could have confidence in with whom you deal.
When running a business means
Where did I put that receipt?
we can help you with instant accounting, free software that does your bookkeeping for you. When running a business means
Wait, what do you mean the container hasn't arrived?
we help protect your business from risk with Mohwebi Insurance. And when it means
How do we pay our staff that don't have bank accounts?
we help you make multiple payments directly to people's phones with e-wallet bulk send. At FNB, we're constantly innovating to help business owners at every stage of their journey.
Africa is reported to be bracing for a very deep recession as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic.
One of the respected businessmen in our region, Johan Rupert, who has business interests in Southern Africa and beyond, is quoted as having said, "What the world is currently going through is not just a pause, but an entire reset of its economic system." While top economy experts of the world may have different views on what the possible solutions could be for various countries, regions and continents, one thing they agree on is that the COVID-19 economic aftershocks will still be ricocheting across the globe for many months to come.
Our focus tonight will be on our very own continent, Africa. How should the continent hold itself? And how much international support will the continent need? And where should she look to for assistance? And at what cost will this assistance come? Our guest tonight is Chief Economist with the World Bank, Dr. Albert Zufak, who joins us via Skype from Washington, D.C. Our first question to him is, what is the projected impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the various African economies?
We just published our latest report, basically projecting that growth in sub-Saharan Africa will decline from 2.4% in 2019 to -2% to -5%. So basically, COVID-19 would lead sub-Saharan Africa to its first recession in 25 years. This is very, very serious, and it's actually going to be pretty bad because our three largest economies, Nigeria, South Africa, and Angola, will experience large contractions in 2020, as this would reflect the sharp decline in commodity prices, especially oil, and also lower external and domestic demand. We will also have some constraint on the supply side as countries implement containment measures. But the economic impact of COVID-19 on sub-Saharan Africa would actually be very bad, because even our top performing countries that in 2019 were among the fastest growing countries in the world, will also be affected. Countries like Ethiopia, Rwanda, Senegal, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire will all be impacted, and growth will probably come to just very, very low positive numbers. So the whole continent would get into a recession. So that's clearly a very grim assessment. And what is also quite alarming, Bonatego, is that We will also see an impact on welfare, household welfare. Consumption will decline, and we're projecting that household welfare could decline between 7 and 14%. The reason why we're giving a window for growth numbers and welfare is because the final impact would actually depend on the policy response, would depend on the individual response, and would depend also on firms' response. And that's probably a little bit of silver lining in this assessment.
I'm happy that you mentioned the issue of the recession that is going to be actually crippling African economies for the very first time. So, is this a given, and how impactful is it going to be?
Our forecast reflects all the macroeconomic risk that are coming from the sharp decline in output growth in countries in sub-Saharan Africa, but also coming from the decline in activity in African countries' trading partners, including China, the Eurozone, and the US. This is reflecting also the fall in commodity prices that has been caused by all the collapse in financial market. And with the collapse in commodity prices, we have a number of African countries that are essentially in a huge fiscal hole. Countries that depend on oil, for example, for more than 50% of their budget are currently in a fiscal crunch. What is happening, for example, is that most countries, including Nigeria, had budgeted oil at more than $55 per barrel. As we speak, oil is hovering between $20 and $25 per barrel. So you can already see that number of African countries like Nigeria, Angola, Republic of Congo, Chad, or many others that depend on oil are already facing a very, very tough time. And that's why, our growth projections are certainly leading to almost an non-avoidable recession. The second reason why we believe we may have a recession is because we're also seeing a big hit on tourism, with air transport and transportation basically coming to a standstill. We are clearly seeing a number of countries in Africa that depend on tourism for the forex really being affected. The third element is remittances. Bonacheko, there are 6 countries in Africa where GDP depends heavily on remittances. 6 countries have, between 10 and 20% of their GDP coming from remittances. And as we speak, countries where the African diaspora reside are also being hit severely by recession in Europe, in the US, and unemployment rate are really skyrocketing. So number of the people in the African diaspora will be jobless, and that would lead to a decline in remittances.
This program was brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?